And welcome back to Greater Jackson Business Beat, the only locally produced TV show about locally owned businesses. And we're in one right now, People Lease in Ridgeland, Mississippi. And I'm joined by Director of Operations, Ken Lewis of People Lease. And you know, Ken, people who read Greater Jackson Business, and we know there are a lot of them out there who watch the show, are familiar with you. You graced our cover, our biggest seller ever.
And Jack, we actually picked up a client off of it that had read the article and then called in, excuse me, with some questions, and it turned into a new piece of business for us.
Where's my commission check on that?
It's in the mail.
Now, Ken, People Lease, your company, your dad started the company, Larry Lewis, how many years ago?
About 25.
And just in a nutshell, can you give us, it's a complicated field, but it's something that all businesses need to know about the business you do. Tell us what People Lease does.
It turns into a co-employment environment, meaning that for the eyes of the regulatory world, the IRS, Department of Homeland Security, better known as the immigration system, all of your taxing authorities look at People Lease as the employer. We have no direction and control over our client company's employees, therefore they are indeed the employer in the field. But for regulatory purposes, we remove that burden from them. We keep up with the tax compliance, obviously all the change that's coming out of Washington, and keep our clients informed.
Now, I would think a lot of businesses watching this may think, well, People Lease is probably needed for the big corporations, maybe the Entergys of the world or the Trustmarks, but I've got a 4 or 5 man shop. I don't need People Lease, can't afford them.
Not necessarily true, Jack. Due to the breadth of service that we offer, human resources, our tax compliance work, payroll and tax administration, obviously, there's some piece of what we do that fits every size employer. Obviously, your larger employers might not need everything that we offer. They may have some of those systems already in place, but they may want the payroll and tax administration and our insurance services. Smaller employers, otherwise, they may need the whole system. They don't have somebody on board to write an employee handbook or make sure that their hiring and firing practices are in line. So I would have to disagree in that the system fits everybody.
Well, I mean, you do have quite a few small business clients as well, don't you?
Absolutely. Most of our clients are small business Mississippi. A lot of them have grown outside the state and put us into other areas of the country. But our average client is 10 to 15, 20 employees.
And Ken, I got to ask, if you're keeping up with regulations, and this is not a political statement, but we're over inundated with government regulations, especially with the new administration. How do you keep up with all the changes? And I would imagine they're weekly, daily changes.
Weekly for sure. I don't know about daily. And the problem that we're having, Jack, is everything that they're doing has some retroactive dates to it.
Yep.
Or they put out a piece of legislation, they're not quite sure how to handle it, and they start shoving it down through the system. So you play an awful lot of catch up. The way that we keep up with it is through national level associations that constantly inundate us with newsletters and resources. Just quite frankly, an awful lot of study. We depend an awful lot on the ladies in the building to keep up with their respective areas. And then we put it out to our clients as needed.
But the good news about that is, again, the clients themselves don't have to do it.
No, they don't.
They turn that over to you, and that's one less headache for them to worry about. Because you've told me before, even for the interview, that small businesses, any business person or owner should concentrate on getting new customers and increasing revenue. The last thing they really should have to worry about is regulation, but they need to worry about it.
They need to worry about it, but right now where we are in the economic times that we're in, the tough times that we're in, most business owners need to be focusing on their accounts receivable.
Yep.
What we're feeling is that it's just a struggle, and it's no particular sector. Everybody is struggling to collect their accounts receivable. If they're spending their time dealing with employment matters, some things that may be petty, some things that may not, they're wasting their time. And a business owner's or manager's time is obviously worth money. In most all cases, once we put a pencil to it, we can show that owner or manager that we will indeed save them money in the long run, in time and efficiencies.
Right now, what are the hot button issues that you're dealing with, that you're conveying to your clients? What do they most need to be aware of, or what are the greatest concerns?
And I hate to say it, but healthcare reform still is one of the larger issues out there, but because of the way that there's certain things that are staging in every year. Everyone's real uncertain what to do right now or what to expect. Unfortunately, everybody is concerned about what to expect. We do the best we can to advise them correctly about the health care reform. Immigration is becoming a hot button. Not necessarily that the illegal immigration that's running rampant in this country right now is going to be taken care of, but they are going to start focusing on certain types of employers. And we want to stay ahead of that and inform our clients. And obviously we do everything we can to keep them in compliance with that.
Roughly, about how many businesses do you work with and for right now?
Several hundred businesses in about 8 states now, most of which became a client here in Mississippi, and then they've opened an operation elsewhere. Most recently, we're processing in Pennsylvania and New Jersey.
Really?
Quite excited about that. It's a whole different tax environment at the state level when you start talking about local taxes, district taxes, municipality taxes. So we're excited about that.
Well, given that growth, and we touched on this, I think, in the interview as well, I mean, People Lease could open branch offices all over the Southeast. You could move from Jackson to Atlanta or Memphis or New Orleans or wherever, but you stay here. Why do you stay in Jackson?
We're just like most businesses in Mississippi. We're a small business, family owned and operated, and we kind of like it that way. And we can do a good job for our customer base with slow growth, digesting new clients, getting them up and running in our system, versus just trying to run crazy and open offices everywhere. We really don't have a desire to do that, Jack. We kind of like the growth pattern that we're in now.
Do you think, and I know you're not a financial advisor, but you keep up with the regulations and you advise businesses. What's the climate right now, and what's the forecast for local small businesses like me, like many of our viewers? What would you say?
Most small businesses right now, Jack, are hunkered down. They're scared to spend. They're uncertain about the future economic climate. And right now, what we tell them is to be mindful of their hiring and firing practices. Right now, unemployment insurance, which all small employers pay, all employers pay, period, there's a lot of benefits being paid where we don't think that they should. So what we're advising our customers to do at this point is hire smart instead of just hiring. Hire smart and mind their accounts receivable. As far as health insurance is concerned, whatever they're in today is where they need to stay. There's no need to make any knee-jerk reaction at this point. In health care, I think there's a lot of uncertainty about what's going to take place in November and how that's going to impact the reforms that have already been put out and future legislation, quite frankly. So right now what we're telling our clients is just maintain the status quo.
Are they holding their own?
You know, the construction sector, Jack, probably got hit the hardest.
Yeah.
And what we're seeing is some level of activity in that sector. Most all of our other clients are just solid. They've not been doing any hiring. They've not been doing many terminations. But the contracting trades have obviously been hit the hardest. And we are seeing some signs of life, actually.
Ken Lewis, Director of Operations for People Lease in Jackson. Now, Ken, how can people contact you, your website, phone number, information?
Our website, www.peoplelease.com. If you're outside the Jackson area, it's 800-723-3025. Locally, it's 987-3025, area code 601, and we'd love to talk to you.
You know, Ken, I've been doing business publishing for 20 years, and you and your dad both have been good supporters, good friends, and it's been a pleasure for me as a business journalist to watch how well the business has grown and what you've done for other businesses.
We appreciate that, Jack.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you, sir.
And thank you so much for watching Greater Jackson Business Show on Local 98. Be sure to join us every Tuesday and Thursday night at 9 o'clock where we cover local businesses and entrepreneurs.